YouTube, welcome back. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. In today's video, we are hopping on board with Scump, and we've got an interesting one for you. So I want to talk about this specific scrim overall. It is against the Dallas Empire. It was their second scrim that they played yesterday. The first one was against Wester, but in this one, first of all, we want to talk about how the scrim went overall. We'll talk about the strategy and the rotations and what led to a decent OpTic victory in this, and then I also want to talk about this map specifically. So first of all, in the 5 hardpoints between OpTic and Chicago, Chicago actually ended up going 4-1. They lost the first one, Garrison, which they tend to play okay. Sometimes they come out, they look good on it, sometimes they look bad. For me, it's probably their most inconsistent map that I've been watching. There are others that they're worse at by far, but sometimes on Garrison, they look like world beaters. Sometimes they just don't look great at all. So they dropped the Garrison, and then they kind of clutched up and went on a roll. Second map was Raid, a little bit out of rotation. Normally that comes a little bit later on, but Raid, they won 250 to 226. Again, that's a map where if you're winning by 20 points, that comes down to 1 or 2 rotations. So I don't want to make it sound like an absolute blowout, because that's absolutely not how Raid was. But still, clutched up, got a victory on Raid, which to start, the first couple weeks of Raid's release, they didn't really play all that great. So that's encouraging if you are an OpTic fan. Third map was Checkmate, which you're watching here. We won't go ahead and tell the score, but you can watch how it plays out. Crossroads was the fourth map, 250 to 209, and that's one that's extremely encouraging for the OpTic fan base. So Crossroads is a map that basically from the very beginning of scrims, they really struggled on against teams with good SMGs. So when you have, the Shotsies, and when you're placing, or when you're facing Atlanta and you have the Simp and the Abizis, they didn't quite, I don't know if it was just the speed of the game or the slaying power or what. I do think the move on P4 in Crossroads helped them a little bit, because now Formal and Dashy can basically just sit on headies inside of P4 and watch the push from top P3 over towards P1. So that's definitely helped them a little bit there on Crossroads. And then the last map was Moscow, which is probably the least surprising of the 5. They won 250 to 161. They've basically played, Moscow's been their best map since the beginning of Scrim, so kind of expect a victory there. But on this one, this is the one that for me is the most surprising, because it's been well over a month, 6 weeks, 7 weeks that they just haven't been playing this map great. And it's just the last week or two of scrims that they're starting to change things and really just become better overall this map against everybody that they're playing. It's not just 1 or 2 maps here or there. But even on this one, when it came to P1, they did a nice job of getting, splitting time for the most part. They were able to flip for P2. They held down those spawns for P2. That's where they're able to gain the majority of their points. And now they're getting kills inside of P4. Again, I hate the layout on this map. I don't love the fact that P1, P3, and P4 are basically all in the middle of the map. It can be contested hardpoints. Not my favorite. But as we're getting close to rotating towards P5, biggest thing to notice is that they did give up those back spawns. So I like the fact that Scump is leading the charge over here. You can see that he's not pushing over towards P4. He's just working his way towards wood. Right now he's on wood wall, just trying to get a last couple kills here so that they can potentially have a last-ditch effort at flipping these spawns, but probably not going to be successful unless they absolutely pop off. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say. Let's see where Scump spawns. Is there somebody left there or not? And it looks like there probably was. So had Illy been the last person there, then they definitely would have regained that back spawn. But as you can see, Formal does go down in the back to Illy. So there was 1 or 2 other players back here for Dallas, which even so, it's interesting. I don't know. As I'm watching this play out here for P5, normally you don't see teams that's spawning out be able to just run straight through P5, get inside of wood, and hit that flank route. And that's exactly what you saw there out of OpTic. So seems like Dallas might be a little bit off kilter here. But hence the score, right? They've basically doubled them up, 120 to 60. And for the first time today, let's go ahead and let's pause it just because I want to make sure that we're explaining all this because some of these things can be pretty in-depth. But as we were working their way over towards P5, you saw Scump, after he died, spawn out over here. Now, the biggest thing for me is that they were eventually able to flip that spawn, but really all they did was just come through P3 bottom plane, run through P5. He hit wood wall. He was able to get up behind, flank behind, and this is where he got the kill on Illy. That's pretty weird. That doesn't happen very often. Normally, this area right here, it's almost impossible to run through because if you're Dallas, you're definitely going to have somebody set up inside of P5. Whether you have somebody over in wood or on wood wall, that's going to be watching this here. If you have somebody back plane or beside these boxes, again, this is where multiple point of views are. So I get that there was a little bit of a run from OpTic and they were able to slay out a little bit, but that was much easier than we're really used to seeing. So OpTic's they just have their number. They're doing a nice job. And the last point that I wanted to make before we listen in is that if you're other teams outside of OpTic, the approach for me, if I was a coach, would have been, we want to try to play them on Crossroads or Checkmate. That was their two worst maps. You don't want to play them on Moscow. They've been good at Moscow for a while. Garrison, they were okay, but the other two, so Crossroads and Checkmate, that was the path, right? You want to try to get a Hardpoint as one of those two maps, and then take your chances in SND and Control or whatever. Those game modes are all, are you going to make a play or are you not going to make a play to win the map? So now that things are changing a little bit, they're starting to win more on Crossroads, and this, they're starting to look much better on. I'm not quite sure what the path is anymore. Definitely probably prefer to play them on one of these two maps, but still, your options for what you're going to veto and how you're going to beat them are changing just a little bit. But we're at about a 90-point lead here, so let's go ahead. We are in the second set of rotations. Let's listen in. I'll still check back. I'll explain the most important things that are happening, but for now, let's go ahead. Let's listen into OpTic team comms.
In the back, play my life here.
In orange, another guy's in yellow crate. Other guys on time weak, other guy on time weak.
Orange.
Dead. Let's get fun. Yo, front quick. Yo, bottom right wing. They're hitting gold. Top yellow crate.
Frame, front dead.
Bottom right wing. Bottom
Yeah.
right wing.
Stack, Shotzi, dead.
Actually, bottom right wing, Kyler.
One's top lane.
I'll help you alone.
He's still top.
He's pushing me out, yeah, he's pushing me out.
Funneled. I'm naded here.
One crossing their steps. Shotzi after their steps. One's right wing.
BS&D, Ender, dead. I'm one from streaks. I'm like one from streaks. He's pushing me. He just pushed me.
All good.
He's our tractor, Kyler.
Yo, tractor and top wing. He's front two. One's front two, one you bad, front two.
There's stairs, Scrim.
Yo, I spawn gens.
Graffiti spawns? He's low right wing.
Are they graffiti spawns?
I'm watching graffiti.
Yo, secret
spawn.
Yeah, nothing graffiti.
Secret. Bottom fin two.
Nice, good job. They're still spawning there.
Yeah, bottom fin alley. You're good.
I'm pushing up your A street, though.
Yo, one more back right.
Hang on.
I'm down on time.
Yeah, this shit.
I don't see anything.
Top lane. Two top lane. One's really weak. One out left wing. One's left wing.
Absolute low right wing.
Absolute
low right wing.
Top lane,
Crim. Crim's low right. Crim's low right. Trust.
At this point in time right here, if you're OpTic, sure, you want to try to get in contest. You want to try to get time inside of P3 and P4. But most important thing, you're at that 200 mark. So as long as you can slay out and keep spawns for P5, that's an easy ticket to end up winning this map. So try to get 10, 15 seconds inside of P4. If you can, that's great. But again, spawns are most important. We'll see how they play it.
No, he'll kill me, Crim.
I don't see top lane. We're both in plane. Top lane, Ender weak.
I spawned out P2, guys.
Nice one. We're spawning out P2.
I don't see Kyler there.
Got Crim on time.
Nice, 2. We can hit
He's
time.
laying down our side time. There's two on time. They're both opposite sides.
Opposite sides.
There's more Kyler.
Close right challenge.
Yeah, destroy the trophy if we
Yo,
can.
their side hill, Ender.
Stay down.
To their side hill.
Oh,
last guy.
I'm cutting spawners. Kyler dead. One more their side.
I need help on time. Crim not hurt. Close left.
I got him.
One more on spawn graffiti. Weak graffiti, last guy. He's half health. Ender.
Graffiti. Really dead.
Nice, shoot him.
Got a trophy on him.
Yo, two guys played stairs on me. I'm one shot. They could hit street on me.
I'm watching your man.
I got naded, bro.
Yo, top silver, silver,
Top
silver,
silver.
shot, one shot, silver.
Got me there, side.
Silver dead. One more their side. Hell,
Challenging
weak.
their side, hurt.
I'm playing tree.
It's close right time, Crim. Child it, dead.
Top right wing, sliding in old.
Weak. I hit him once.
Tyler. Dead.
I shoot him.
In the back, see.
Nice, I'm playing for plane.
Yeah, play flank control, go on. Look at tower.
One guy was like back graffiti on me.
Tower.
One guy's front tower. I like this block right here. I'll back
Playing low flank, playing low flank.
Yo, other guy's front tower.
Just to kind of update the strategy that we talked about a few seconds ago, nice job of getting time inside of P4. Once spawns flipped, then they could go ahead, they could commit basically all of their resources towards trying to get 10, 15, 20, 25 seconds inside of P4. So they didn't do a great job of holding those back spawns, those backwood spawns for P5. Looks like they're going to give up the majority of the remainder of this 30 seconds or so. But now you start to shift your focus, try to get plane, try to get the cuts from wood and P5 towards plane, win once it goes back towards P1.
One shot
One shot right side wood, jumping out, Seth.
Got me. And they got me. They're stairs.
For Kyler new. Kyler's in new.
Old shot too.
Hey, Kyler, left wing. I need help here.
They're mid, Crim. Only one guy new. One more they're playing steps. Exit,
I need help,
Crim,
I need
only
help.
guy.
Every child.
Get the side, look here.
He's weak.
Crim's
He's
the only guy there for a
really
second.
got wall in place.
Shotzi at old. Absolute old. Shotzi.
Yo, in wood, Kyler, one shot.
Yo,
right.
exit one shot.
Yo,
Exit
Shotzi's
one
literally
shot.
blue. Shotzi's a blue.
I'll get Shotzi. Kyler's their wood.
He's still stuck at
I'm
old.
laying down their
Yeah, he's still
stairs.
stuck in
Could they pinch us?
I have their
No,
side. I have their side.
Shotzi, one shot at old. P5 weak. One
I
jumped
have
up left wing.
Yeah, left wing.
I
No,
spawned.
That, for what it's worth, is a tremendous play out of Shotzi. The fact that everybody, well, multiple people were looking at him and he was able to slide over to the right, jump back, get that kill on Scump. It allowed them to get out of that kind of trap that they were in. Little bit too late, of course, but still, I like to see individual plays like that, and that was just a great play overall.
I'm getting
He went off this. I'm challenging this guy.
Go ahead. Come with you guys.
Nice one.
Another one there. Two more.
Now, I will also say, if you're OpTic, this isn't best case scenario, because had this gone, so they have 10 seconds to spare here. They're gonna end up winning, as that was a nasty 3-piece from Scump. They're gonna end up winning it here, but if they didn't clutch up and get those kills and it goes over towards P2 again, they don't have spawns. 40, 50 seconds could end up going towards Dallas, and at that point, it could be 240 to 230 with a race towards bottom plane inside P3. So, I don't know. It would have been nicer if they could have held those spawns for P5 and then held those spawns for P2 while setting a focus inside of P1 and P4 before it rotated. But either way, it's a decent play. So as we're looking at this, you can see the score numbers on the left. Scump 48 and 24. He does shuffle through these, but every single person from Chicago ended up dropping a 40 bomb as you look across to the right. Damage numbers were pretty high for Huke right here at 5,700, but Shotzi's a little low, than the score numbers for like Illy and Crim were much lower. So overall, good day of tournaments for OpTic. What does that tell us? I don't know. It seemed like Dallas had a little bit of a gap heading into or after kickoff weekend, heading into the first home series. We'll see if that stays the same or if it changes. But with that, if you guys are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a like if you don't mind, as it really helps out the channel. And with that, we will see you guys in tomorrow's upload.